My name is Sophia Brennan. I'm 32 years old, a trauma therapist in Chicago, and on Tuesday, March 14th at exactly 3:47 in the afternoon, I learned that my mother had stolen $400,000 from me. The email came while I was between client sessions. Subject line, Trust Fund Maturity Notification. I remember my heart doing this stupid little leap because I'd been waiting for this email for 2 years. My grandfather had set up the trust when I was 22, right before he died. It was supposed to mature when I turned 30. A safety net. His way of protecting me even after he was gone. I opened the email on my phone, still standing in my office hallway. The trust administrator's letterhead filled the screen, all formal fonts and legal language. I scrolled down to the balance section. Expected amount, $400,000. Actual balance, $3,247.18. I read it 3 times. Then I called the number at the bottom of the email, my hands already shaking. There's been a mistake, I said when the administrator picked up. My voice sounded far away, like I was listening to myself through water. No mistake, Ms. Brennan. Her tone was professional, detached. Your account shows authorized co-trustee withdrawals over the past 7 years. All properly documented. Co-trustee withdrawals? What co-trustee? Your mother, Patricia Brennan. She was listed as co-trustee when the trust was established. The floor tilted. I sat down right there on my apartment building's stairs, still holding the phone to my ear, trying to process words that didn't make sense. My mother. Authorized. 7 years. I don't remember hanging up. I don't remember scrolling through my contacts. But suddenly I was calling her, and she picked up on the second ring. Sophia. What a nice surprise. Where's the money? My voice came out flat. Dead. A pause. Then, in that same cheerful tone she used when explaining why she'd given my childhood bedroom to Sarah, oh honey, we needed it. Sarah's life required investment. You understand. We needed it. Sarah's life required investment. Like my life didn't. Like $400,000 my grandfather specifically left to me was just some family fund she could dip into whenever my sister needed another European vacation or a down payment on a condo or whatever the hell she'd spend it on. I hung up. Then I sat on those stairs for 20 minutes, staring at nothing, feeling nothing, because my brain couldn't process the size of the betrayal. Before I tell you how forensic accountants traced 47 fraudulent transfers and my mother faced felony charges, before I tell you about the courtroom and the handcuffs and the moment she finally understood she couldn't manipulate her way out of consequences, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. And subscribe if you've ever been the family scapegoat while watching the golden child get everything. Because this story? It's not just mine. It's every daughter who was told to be grateful for scraps while their sibling got a feast. This wasn't the first time Mom decided Sarah's dreams were investments and mine were expenses. But it was going to be the last. To understand how a mother could steal $400,000 from one daughter to give to another without an ounce of guilt, you need to understand the pattern. This theft didn't start when I turned 30. It started when I turned 7, the year Sarah was born, and I became invisible. I was the responsible one. That's what Mom called it. What it actually meant was, Sophia doesn't need attention, so we won't give her any. Sarah cries. Everyone runs. I cry. I'm being dramatic. The first time Mom stole from me, I was 12 years old. I'd been babysitting for 6 months, saving every dollar in a shoebox under my bed. $240. I was going to buy a winter coat because mine from 6th grade didn't fit anymore and Mom said we couldn't afford a new one. I came home from school one day and the shoebox was empty. I found Mom in the kitchen, writing a check to Sarah's dance academy. Where's my money? She didn't even look up. Sarah needed new costumes for regionals. Family helps family, Sophia. Don't be selfish. I was 12. Wearing a coat with sleeves that ended 3 inches above my wrists. And I was selfish. I didn't say anything. I just went to my room and told myself it was fine. That's what good daughters do. They sacrifice. For years later, I got my first real job at a local bookstore. First paycheck, $680. I was so proud. I was going to open my own bank account, start saving for college. But Mom convinced me to deposit it in the family account first, just until I turned 18 and could open my own. You live here free, Sophia. Utilities, food, a roof over your head. This is your contribution. That money never made it to my account. None of my paychecks did. For 2 years, I worked 20 hours a week and saw maybe 30% of what I earned. The rest went into the family account, which funded Sarah's class trips, Sarah's prom dress, Sarah's car insurance. By 19, I'd saved $15,000 in a separate account Mom didn't know about. I was a sophomore in college, working 2 part-time jobs, living in a dorm room the size of a closet. That $15,000 was my escape plan. Enough to get my own apartment, cut my work hours, actually focus on school. Then Sarah decided she wanted a gap year in Europe. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Mom said over family dinner. She needs to find herself before college. How much does it cost? I asked. $15,000. But your father and I can't afford it right now. I felt the trap closing before she even finished the sentence. Sophia, honey. I know you have some money saved. It would mean so much to Sarah. To the family. I gave her the money. Because that's what I did. I gave and convinced myself it was normal, that good daughters sacrifice, that I was stronger than Sarah and didn't need help the way she did. Sarah went to Paris. I took out student loans. My grandfather was the only person who saw what was happening. He'd pull me aside at holidays, ask how school was going, actually listen to the answer. The Christmas before he died, he held my hand across the table and said, "Don't let them make you small, Sophia. You're worth more than they see." 3 months later, he had a heart attack. At the funeral, his lawyer told me about the trust. $400,000. Irrevocable. Sole beneficiary, Sophia Marie Brennan. Matures at age 30. Your grandfather wanted to make sure you had something they couldn't touch, the lawyer said. Mom insisted on being listed as co-trustee. For tax purposes, she said. Estate planning. It's standard. I was 22 and drowning in grief. I signed whatever papers they put in front of me. I didn't know a co-trustee meant access to withdraw. For 8 years after Grandpa died, I didn't think much about the trust. I was busy building a life Mom couldn't touch, therapy practice, my own apartment, boundaries. I thought the money was safe because it was legal, documented, protected. I didn't realize I'd given the Fox keys to the henhouse when I was too young to understand what co-trustee meant. And by the time that email arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, there was almost nothing left. 6 months before my 30th birthday, I got a handwritten card in the mail. Cream cardstock, my mother's looping cursive, Sophia, I'd like to have you and Sarah over for dinner next Saturday. I want to clear the air before your birthday. Love, Mom. I stared at that card for 20 minutes. Mom didn't do handwritten invitations. She didn't do clearing the air. She did Christmas obligations and guilt-trip phone calls and showing up unannounced when she needed something. But I went. Because some pathetic part of me still wanted a mother. Her house looked different. The kitchen had been completely renovated, granite countertops, a wolf range, marble backsplash that probably cost more than my car. New furniture in the living room. Pottery Barn, not Walmart. She answered the door wearing a cashmere sweater and carrying a designer handbag I recognized from a client's Instagram. Valentino. $3,000 minimum. Maybe she got a raise, I told myself. Maybe inheritance from her side of the family. Sarah was already there, perched on a bar stool, newly engaged, her ring catching the light from those expensive pendant fixtures. Wedding planned for fall, she said. Venue already booked. Mom made salmon. Actual salmon, with roasted vegetables and wild rice. We never had salmon growing up. We had casseroles and chicken thighs and whatever was on sale. Halfway through dinner, Mom put down her fork and looked at me with tears in her eyes. Sophia, I know I haven't been fair to you over the years. I prioritized Sarah's needs, and I didn't see how much I was asking you to sacrifice. Her voice cracked. I want to make amends. I want us to be a real family again. I felt that stupid, desperate flicker. The one I'd spent 10 years in therapy trying to kill. Maybe she's changed. Maybe she finally sees me. For 90 minutes, I had a mother. Then the bill came. When your trust matures in March, Mom said, refilling her wine glass, I'm hoping you'll consider helping Sarah with wedding costs. It would mean so much to both of us. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Just $50,000. She's family. Just $50,000. Out of my $400,000. The inheritance my grandfather left specifically to protect me from her. I pulled my hand back slowly. I'll think about it. That money is for my future. Mom's jaw tightened for half a second. Then the smile snapped back into place. Of course. Just think about it. She changed the subject immediately. Started talking about Sarah's dress appointments, the venue, the florist. Sarah examined her fingernails the entire time, not meeting my eyes, not saying a word in my defense. I left that night feeling guilty. Guilty for not immediately saying yes. Guilty for wanting to keep money that was mine. Guilty for existing in a way that required boundaries. I didn't notice the things I should have noticed. That kitchen renovation, $80,000 minimum. I did the math later. The furniture. The handbag. Sarah's ring, which had to be at least 4 carats. Where was all that money coming from? I didn't ask. Because I didn't want to know. 6 months passed. I threw myself into work, saw clients, paid my bills, tried not to think about that dinner or the guilt that sat in my chest like a stone. My 30th birthday came on a Tuesday. March 14th. I treated myself to an expensive coffee and a croissant, took the afternoon off, imagined what I'd do with $400,000. Maybe a down payment on a condo. Maybe grad school. Maybe just peace of mind. That email arrived exactly 6 months after that dinner. The day the trust matured and transferred to my sole control. Except it hadn't transferred. Because there was nothing left to transfer. And as I sat on those stairs, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the trust administrator explain, authorized co-trustee withdrawals dating back 7 years, I finally understood. That dinner wasn't reconciliation. It was reconnaissance. She was checking if I knew. I called the trust administrator back. My voice came out steadier than I felt. I need the complete transaction history. Every withdrawal. Every date. I need it now. The email arrived 14 minutes later. 14-page PDF. Subject line, Account Activity Summary 2016 to 2023. I opened it on my laptop, sitting on my apartment floor because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. 47 transfers. 47 separate withdrawals over 7 years, ranging from $4,000 to $35,000, processed every 2 to 4 months like clockwork. Total amount stolen, $396,752.82. My hands shook so hard I had to set the laptop down. Each transfer had a description. Official language that made them look legitimate. March 2019, $28,000, beneficiary education expenses. I paid my own tuition that semester. With loans. December 2020, $35,000, beneficiary medical emergency. I had the flu that Christmas. Didn't even go to the doctor. Cost me $12 for NyQuil. June 2022, $18,500, beneficiary housing assistance. I was living in the same 600 square foot apartment I'd rented since grad school. Every single description was a lie. Documented, official lies on trust paperwork that made it look like this money was going to me. It wasn't. I pulled up my laptop photos. Started scrolling through screenshots of Sarah's Instagram I'd saved over the years because I'm a therapist who should know better but apparently still tortures herself with family social media. March 2019, Sarah's post from her graduation trip to Italy. Mom surprised me with the trip of a lifetime. So grateful. $28,000. The exact amount withdrawn for my education expenses that month. December 2020, kitchen renovation reveal. Mom and Sarah holding champagne glasses in front of that marble backsplash. New kitchen, new memories. $35,000. A medical emergency. June 2022, Sarah's new Audi in the driveway, big red bow on the hood. Best Mom award goes to $18,000. My housing assistance. The apartment suddenly felt too small. My chest too tight. I stood up, sat back down, stood up again. She didn't just take my inheritance. She built Sarah's entire life with it. The grad school scholarship Sarah got? Funded by my trust. The down payment on Sarah's condo? My trust. Every vacation, every car, every designer handbag, every single thing Mom had given Sarah for 7 years, it was all mine. I scrolled to the last entry. 2 weeks ago. $12,000. Description, beneficiary education, continuing studies. I wasn't in school. Hadn't been for 5 years. I opened Sarah's Instagram again. 3 days ago, venue deposit paid. This wedding is actually happening. Mom, you're an angel. $12,000. She'd already spent it. Before that dinner. Before the handwritten card. Before asking my permission for $50,000 more. That dinner wasn't about asking. It was about seeing if I'd noticed. If I knew. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Something inside my chest turned to ice, spreading through my veins like frost, and I welcomed it. Because rage is hot and stupid and makes you sloppy. Ice is strategic. Ice is patient. And I was done being warm. I sat on my floor for 2 hours, scrolling through those 47 transfers, matching each one to a Facebook post or family dinner story. Sarah's a scholarship to grad school. Mother's bonus that paid for the kitchen. Every single milestone in their lives for 7 years had been funded with my grandfather's protection money. And as the sun set outside my window, something happened that I didn't expect. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I got cold. It felt like someone turned off the heat in my veins. Like my body decided emotion was a luxury I couldn't afford anymore. My therapist brain recognized this as dissociation, the kind I'd spent years helping clients work through. But my survival brain said something different: use it. This wasn't family conflict. This was felony fraud. And I wasn't going to handle it like a hurt daughter. I was going to handle it like a case file. Because that's what it was going to become. I stood up. Showered. Changed into clean clothes. Made coffee. Sat down at my desk with my laptop and opened a new folder. Evidence, do not delete. First, screenshots. Every single page of that 14-page transaction history. Every transfer, every date, every lying description. Saved. Backed up to 3 different cloud storage accounts. Second, social media. I downloaded 7 years of Sarah's Instagram posts, every caption mentioning gifts or trips or Mom's generosity. Every graduation photo, every new car reveal, every vacation hashtag. Saved. Third, Mom's Facebook. House renovation albums. Vacation photos from Napa Valley and Scottsdale. Posts about her new car in 2021. All downloaded. All time-stamped. Fourth, Excel spreadsheet. Columns labeled, date, amount, transfer description, actual use, social media proof. March 2019. 28,000. Beneficiary education. Sarah's Italy trip. Instagram post link. December 2020. 35,000. Medical emergency. Kitchen renovation. Facebook album link. I worked through all 47 transfers. Matched 32 of them to specific expenditures with photographic evidence. The other 15 I marked unknown, likely Sarah expenses, and highlighted in yellow for follow-up. My hands didn't shake anymore. My chest didn't feel tight. I was methodical. Clinical. The same way I took notes during client sessions when they described trauma, focused, detached, storing information for later processing. I will not call her, I told myself. I will not give her time to hide evidence or craft a story. I will not warn her. Because that's what she'd expect. The Sophia she raised would call crying, asking why, begging for an explanation that made sense. She'd weaponize my emotions, make herself the victim, gaslight me into believing I'd misunderstood something. But I wasn't that Sophia anymore. At 11 p.m., I looked at the clock. I'd been documenting for 5 hours. My coffee was cold. My neck was stiff. I felt nothing. It was perfect. I opened my email and typed one message. Not to my mother. Not to Sarah. To my Uncle Richard, my grandfather's brother, a retired prosecutor who'd always kept in touch with birthday cards and occasional lunch invitations. Subject line, need legal advice re, trust fund fraud. Body, can we talk tomorrow? It's about Mom and Grandpa's trust. I attached nothing. Didn't explain. Just sent it. His response came at 6:23 the next morning. My office. 9 a.m., bring everything. Uncle Richard's home office looked exactly like you'd expect a retired prosecutor's office to look. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined with legal texts, framed bar certifications on the walls, a massive oak desk that had probably witnessed 1,000 case strategies. I arrived at 9 a.m. with a messenger bag full of printed documents. Transaction histories. Timeline spreadsheet. USB drive with encrypted backups. My hands were steady. My voice was calm. I laid it all out on his desk without saying a word. He picked up the first page, the summary showing 47 transfers totaling nearly $400,000. His face went pale. Jesus Christ, Sophia. This is wire fraud. Not, are you sure? Not, maybe there's an explanation. Wire fraud. He spent 20 minutes reading through everything, his jaw getting tighter with each page. Then he pulled out the original trust documents from a file cabinet. Apparently, he'd kept copies since my grandfather died. Look at this clause. He pointed to Section 4, Paragraph 3. Co-trustee withdrawal requires documented beneficiary approval for amounts exceeding $500. $500. Every single one of those transfers was thousands. Tens of thousands. She needed your signature for every withdrawal, Uncle Richard said. Did you ever sign approval documents? Never. I didn't even know I was supposed to. Because she never asked. He set the papers down. She forged your approval. Or more likely, just processed the transfers and hoped no one would audit the paperwork. That's not a mistake, Sophia. That's felony fraud. Breach of fiduciary duty. And depending on how she moved the money, possibly elder abuse by proxy since this was your grandfather's estate. My throat felt tight. Is it prosecutable? Absolutely. Federal charges are possible if she moved money across state lines. He picked up his phone. I'm calling Patricia Chen. She's a forensic accountant who specializes in family financial abuse cases. If anyone can build an airtight case, it's her. Dr. Chin answered on the second ring. Uncle Richard put her on speaker, explained the situation in clipped, professional terms. 47 fraudulent transfers. 7 years. 400,000 stolen. I can start today, Dr. Chen said. Her voice was sharp, efficient. This is exactly my expertise. I'll need access to all trust records, bank statements, and any supporting documentation. How much will this cost? I asked, because I had to. Because I just lost $400,000 and didn't know how I'd afford a forensic accountant. I'll cover it, Uncle Richard said before Dr. Chen could answer. Your grandfather would have wanted this. Should have done it years ago. His voice cracked on that last part. We spent the next hour planning strategy. 3-part approach. First, forensic accounting report. Prove the fraud pattern, document every transfer, establish intent. Second, criminal complaint. File a police report for wire fraud, trigger investigation. Third, civil lawsuit. Asset recovery plus punitive damages. Timeline, 2 to 3 weeks for Dr. Chen's report. Then we move. Do not contact your mother, Uncle Richard said, looking me dead in the eye. Do not warn Sarah. Do not give them any indication you know. We document first. We preserve evidence. Then we strike. Will she go to jail? That depends on the prosecutor and how much they want to pursue it. But she will face consequences. I'll make sure of it. He opened a desk drawer and pulled out an envelope. Yellowed paper, my grandfather's handwriting on the front, for Richard, in case. Inside was a letter. 3 sentences. Watch over Sophia. Patricia will try to take everything. Don't let her make my girl small. I stared at those words until they blurred. Grandpa knew. He knew, and he tried to protect me even after death. I'm sorry I didn't check on the trust sooner, Uncle Richard said quietly. I should have. You're checking now, I said. That's what matters. Dr. Chen called that Friday. I'd expected a preliminary update, maybe some questions about specific transactions. Instead, her first words were, Ms. Brennan, I need you to sit down. What your mother did is worse than you think. My stomach dropped. How could it possibly be worse than $400,000 stolen over 7 years? She didn't just steal from your trust, Dr. Chen said. She's been stealing your identity. I sat down. Dr. Chen didn't waste time. When I pulled your credit report, I found 6 credit cards opened in your name between 2012 and 2017. Ages 19 to 24. Total debt across all cards, $47,000. The room tilted. That's impossible. I never opened those cards. I know. Your mother did. Chase, Discover, Capital One, American Express, 2 from Bank of America. The bills were sent to her address. She made minimum payments to keep them out of collections, to keep you from finding out. But the debt is in your name. And it's been tanking your credit score for years. I thought my score was low because of student loans. Your score is 640. With your payment history, it should be 780 minimum. These cards are why. My hands were shaking again. What did she use them for? Sarah's college expenses, mostly. Sorority dues. Textbooks. The Chase card, opened in 2012, $12,000 limit, has charges to a bridal boutique in 2023. $8,400. Sarah's engagement ring. My sister's engagement ring was bought with a credit card opened in my name when I was 19 years old. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. When I came back, Dr. Chen was still on speaker, her voice clinically calm. There's more. Your mother filed tax returns claiming you as a dependent from 2014 through 2021. You were legally independent, filing your own returns, but she filed duplicates claiming you lived with her. The IRS never flagged it because the refund amounts were small enough to fly under audit thresholds. Total fraudulent refunds, approximately $18,000 over 8 years. How is that possible? She had your social security number. Your birth certificate. Probably access to your mail at some point. This wasn't opportunistic, Sophia. This was systematic. My chest felt like it was caving in. Is there more? A pause. Yes. Parent Plus loans. $35,000 borrowed in 2015, with you listed as co-signer. You never signed the documents. She forged your signature. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Dr. Chen's voice softened, just slightly. Total financial fraud we can document: $400,000 from the trust, $47,000 in credit card debt, $18,000 in tax fraud, $35,000 in loan fraud. $500,000. Stolen over 14 years, starting when you were 18. $500,000. 14 years. $500,000 of my life, stolen by the woman who was supposed to protect me. I've worked over 200 family fraud cases, Dr. Chen said. This is top 10 worst I've seen. The level of premeditation, the duration, the multi-generational abuse dynamics. Your mother exhibits a calculated pattern consistent with severe narcissistic personality disorder and criminal intent. That's in my report. Your report. 94 pages. Bank records, credit reports, tax documents, social media evidence, handwriting analysis on the forged signatures. I compared her handwriting on the credit card applications to known samples from the trust documents. It's a match. This is prosecutable 6 ways from Sunday. Uncle Richard's voice cut in. I hadn't realized he was on the call. We're filing criminal charges Monday. This ends now. I found my voice. It came out raw. Some of those credit cards bought my sister's engagement ring. I know, Dr. Chen said quietly. I documented it. I'm sorry. The first tears since that Tuesday afternoon finally came. Not sad tears. Rage tears. The kind that burn on the way out. Because it wasn't just the money. It was my credit. My tax history. My identity. My name on documents I never signed, debt I never agreed to, a financial history that would follow me for years. She didn't just steal my inheritance. She stole me. Uncle Richard scheduled a meeting with the Cook County State's attorney for Monday morning. He hand-delivered Dr. Chen's 94-page report Friday afternoon, tab dividers labeled trust fraud, identity theft, tax evasion, loan fraud. On Sunday, my phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Brennan? This is Detective Marcus Williams, Financial Crimes Unit. I've reviewed your case file. My heart stopped. We're issuing a warrant Monday morning. 6 words I'll never forget. And that's when I made a decision. I was going to be there when they arrested her. Monday morning, 10:30 a.m., I pulled up to my mother's house. The house with the $80,000 kitchen. Detective Marcus Williams parked behind me in an unmarked sedan. Uncle Richard arrived 30 seconds later. A victim advocate named Lisa stepped out of a third car. We walked to the door together. I rang the doorbell. Heard footsteps inside. The door opened. Mom stood there in yoga pants and a cashmere sweater, coffee mug in hand, face lighting up in fake surprise. Sophia. What a surprise. Who are all these? She saw Detective Williams' badge on his belt. Her face drained of color. The coffee mug trembled in her hand. Ma'am, I'm Detective Marcus Williams, Financial Crimes Unit. Mom's face rearranged itself instantly. Concern. Confusion. Oh. Is this about that fraud alert call I got last week? I was meaning to report it, I've just been so busy. Ma'am. Detective Williams' voice cut through her performance like a blade. We're here about fraud you committed. He held up the warrant. Patricia Brennan, we have a warrant for your arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and tax evasion. Her knees buckled. She grabbed the counter, that expensive granite counter, to keep from falling. The color left her face completely. She looked at me, then back at the detective, then at me again. This is insane. Sophia, tell them this is a mistake. I'd been silent for 10 days. Documenting. Planning. Waiting. Now I stepped forward, and my voice came out steady and cold. I know about all of it. The trust. The credit cards. The tax returns. The loans. Everything. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You're having me arrested? I'm your mother. Uncle Richard stepped between us. You're a thief. And you're going to face consequences. Footsteps on the stairs. Sarah appeared, hair wet from a shower, freezing when she saw the scene in the kitchen. Police. Me. Uncle Richard. What's happening? I turned to her. Looked her in the eye. Did you know? About the trust fund? About where your grad school money came from? The trips? The car? Sarah's face did something I'll never forget. Guilt. Just for a second, before she looked at the floor. You knew. My voice cracked. Oh my God, you knew. Mom said you didn't care about money, Sarah whispered. That you wanted me to have opportunities, that you were fine. She stole $400,000 from me. I was shaking now. Opened credit cards in my name. Filed false tax returns for 8 years. Took out loans I never signed for. And you knew. Sarah started crying. Mom lunged forward like she was going to hug me, comfort me, play the loving mother card one more time. Detective Williams stepped in. Ma'am, turn around and place your hands behind your back. Sophia, please. I did this for family. For Sarah's future. I can pay you back, we can work this out. You can't pay back 14 years of theft, I said. But you can face justice for it. The handcuffs clicked shut. Detective Williams recited Miranda rights in that flat, procedural tone that made everything real. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Mom was crying now. Real tears, for once. But I knew they weren't for what she'd done. They were for getting caught. A neighbor stood on her porch across the street, watching. Mrs. Henderson, who Mom bragged to about Sarah's accomplishments at every HOA meeting. Watching my mother get arrested in her driveway. Detective Williams walked Mom to the patrol car. She looked smaller. Older. Pathetic. Sarah collapsed onto a bar stool, sobbing. What happens now? Uncle Richard's voice was ice. Now your mother faces felony charges. And Sophia files a civil lawsuit for asset recovery. 2 more officers entered the house with evidence bags. Mom's laptop. Her phone. Bank statements from the home office. Sarah's jewelry box from upstairs. Wait, what? My jewelry? Sarah's voice pitched up. Evidence, one officer said, lifting the engagement ring from its box. Purchased with fraudulent credit. I watched it all happen like I was watching television. Detached. Distant. My therapist brain would have been concerned about that level of dissociation. But my survival brain said, good. Stay numb. Process later. Uncle Richard touched my shoulder. You ready to go? I nodded. Walked toward the door. Didn't look back at Sarah crying in the kitchen or the police photographing evidence or the neighbors gathering on the sidewalk. I looked at the house one last time. It looked different now. Just a house. Not a home. Never a home. The police car pulled away with my mother in the back seat. I got in my car and drove away in the opposite direction. The state's attorney charged my mother with 14 counts of wire fraud, 6 counts of identity theft, and 3 counts of tax evasion. Maximum sentence, 25 years. The civil lawsuit took 8 months. But the verdict came back faster than anyone expected. And when the judge read the number out loud, even my lawyer looked shocked. My mother pleaded guilty. Her lawyer advised her to take a deal rather than face a jury trial with 94 pages of forensic evidence and a prosecutor who specialized in white-collar crime. Sentence: 6 years federal prison. 5 years probation after release. $500,000 in restitution ordered. Reality: she'll serve 4 years with good behavior. The restitution? Unlikely to ever be paid in full. But the criminal record is permanent. The civil lawsuit took 8 months. When the judge read the verdict, even Uncle Richard looked surprised. $680,000. Stolen amount plus punitive damages plus interest. The judge called it one of the most egregious cases of family financial abuse he'd seen in 30 years on the bench. Asset seizure happened fast. Mom's house sold at auction. $340,000 recovered. Her car, $28,000. Jewelry, including the pieces she'd bought with my stolen credit, $15,000. Sarah's engagement ring was ordered returned as evidence of fraud. Her fiancé's family insisted the engagement be broken. Apparently, they had standards about marrying into families with federal felons. Sarah wasn't criminally charged, prosecutors said she was complicit but not the primary perpetrator. But I sued her in civil court. $85,000. The amount she directly benefited from the fraud. The judge ordered a payment plan. 15 years. She's currently working retail, living with a friend, and hasn't contacted me once. I don't know if she's sorry or just sorry she got caught. 3 months into Mom's sentence, I got a letter. Forwarded through her attorney. Sophia, I hope you're happy now. You destroyed this family. I only wanted what was best for Sarah, to give her opportunities you never needed because you were always so independent. You were always selfish with money, even as a child. I forgive you for what you've done to me. I pray you find peace with your choices. Love, Mom. I read it once. Laughed. Threw it away. Uncle Richard was visiting that day. He picked it out of my trash, read it, shook his head. That's called a narcissist's non-apology. Notice how she's the victim? Notice how your selfishness made her commit 14 years of fraud? Textbook. She'll never get it, I said. No, he agreed. She won't. Financial recovery so far, $383,000. House sale, asset liquidation, 3 years of Sarah's payments. The money went into a new trust. Irrevocable. Sole trustee, me. No cosigners. Ever. The IRS cleared the tax fraud from my record. Credit bureaus corrected my score, 795 now. The credit card debt was discharged through fraud victim protection. Mom was ordered to pay the balances. She won't. But they're not mine anymore. Then something unexpected happened. News coverage of the case brought 3 other victims forward. A cousin Mom had borrowed $22,000 from and never repaid. A former friend she'd defrauded of $8,000. An elderly neighbor she'd convinced to cosign a loan for $12,000. Additional charges were filed. The neighbor case added 3 years for elder abuse. My victim impact statement was read in court before sentencing. I kept it short. My mother didn't steal money. She stole my belief that mothers protect their children. She stole my ability to trust family. She stole 14 years of financial stability and peace. But she didn't steal my future. I'm taking that back. The judge looked at me over his glasses. Ms. Brennan, your courage in coming forward has protected others from this defendant. I hope you find peace. I donated $50,000 of the recovered funds to a nonprofit that helps victims of family financial abuse. It felt right. Turning poison into medicine. That was 2 years ago. The prosecutor said I was brave. Uncle Richard said I was strong. My therapist said I was surviving. But here's what I actually learned: I wasn't brave or strong. I was just done. And sometimes, being done is enough. That was 2 years ago. The prosecutor said I was brave. Uncle Richard said I was strong. My therapist said I was surviving. But here's what I actually learned: I wasn't brave or strong. I was just done. And sometimes, being done is enough. I'm 34 now. I moved to Portland 8 months after the verdict. Bought a house, small, nothing fancy, but mine. Paid cash with settlement money. No mortgage. No co-signers. No one who can take it away. I'm still a trauma therapist, but now I specialize in family financial abuse. My practice has a tagline: I help people get cold when they need to. Half my clients find me because of news coverage from the case. The other half find me because they're sitting where I sat 2 years ago, staring at bank statements that don't make sense and family members who gaslight them into believing theft is love. Uncle Richard visits every few months. We have dinner. Real family dinners, the kind where no one's keeping score or waiting for the bill to come. He's the only blood relative I talk to now. I'm dating someone. Someone who thinks boundaries are attractive, not selfish. Who doesn't flinch when I say, I don't talk to my mother, and doesn't ask me to reconcile for the sake of family unity. It's the healthiest relationship I've ever had. I still go to therapy every week. PTSD diagnosis. Turns out 14 years of financial abuse leaves marks that don't show up on credit reports. Healing isn't linear. Some days I'm fine. Some days I see a mother and daughter laughing in a coffee shop and I have to leave. My mother is still in prison. Year 2 of 6. 4 to go. I haven't visited. I never will. Sarah sent an apology letter 6 months ago. I was young. Mom manipulated me. I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't respond. Because I don't owe her forgiveness she hasn't earned. And because some bridges aren't worth rebuilding. I learned the hardest lesson: you can't love people into being safe. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep people warm. Even if those people are blood relatives. Especially if those people are blood relatives. Family is who shows up when doors slam, not who slams the door. I didn't forgive my mother. I moved on anyway. Those are different things. Forgiveness is optional. Healing is not. This wasn't revenge. Revenge is about making them hurt. Justice is about making sure they can't hurt anyone else. 3 other victims came forward because I did. That matters more than any apology she could have given. For 30 years, I thought my worth was determined by whether she loved me. Now I know my worth is determined by how I love myself. I think about Grandpa a lot. He tried to protect me even after death. That's what real love looks like. Not control disguised as care. Not theft disguised as investment. Just protection. Just love. She didn't just steal money. She stole the version of me that trusted easily. I grieve her sometimes, not my mother, but that version of myself. The one who believed family meant safety. But I don't regret getting cold. Getting cold saved my life. If you're watching this and you're in a similar situation, here's what I wish someone had told me: document everything. Tell no one until you have a lawyer. Call a forensic accountant. You deserve protection, not politeness. Drop a comment if this resonated. Subscribe for more stories. And remember, you're not crazy. They really are toxic. They ask me sometimes, other survivors, people in my practice, do you ever wish you'd handled it differently? That you'd try to work it out as a family? And I tell them the truth: no. Because you can't negotiate with people who see you as a resource instead of a person. My mother didn't lose a daughter. She lost access to a bank account. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I have a family now. They just don't share my DNA. And that's the best ending I could have asked for.